IAS Academy.
Hello all, welcome to IAS Academy and welcome back to the program Editorial Daily, where we deal with editorial analysis which enriches your perspective and enhances your answer writing. So let's get started with our today's session. Yes, the first article for today is what India's young people are saying about the families. So this article is written by Andrea M, who is a UNFPA representative in India. So the article draws on the UNFPA Demographic Future Survey, which is done on 2025. Based on this, which surveyed over 1,08,000 young people across the 73 countries globally to understand their views on marriage, the family, and the parenthood. So basically, yet the young Indians still value the family life, but they want the right conditions before starting one. Okay. Yes. So India has reached the replacement fertility rate of 2.1 children for a woman. So this is not a population crisis, but it is a sign of better education, especially for girls, and improved maternal health care, and the greater access to the contraceptions, and increased freedom for couples to decide and when and how to have, how many children to have. Okay. Thus this fertility decline reflects the development and informed choices, not a rejection of a family values, it basically says. Okay. Based on the article, there are few key findings, if we can say. The first one is the young Indians still want families. The young Indians still want families. Like 4 out of 10 women, 4 out of 10 women, and the one third of the men prefer to have two children per family. So, the most young people continue to value the marriage, the parenthood, and the stable family life. So, this issue is not the unwillingness, but whether conditions are suitable or not, the people are seeing. Okay. When coming to the next perspective, which is discussed in this article, is the economic insecurity is the biggest barrier. Economic insecurity is becoming the biggest barrier to for this. So the young couples which who are cited the several concerns before having children have the financial stability. They are looking for the affordable housing and looking for the secure employment and cost of raising children. So the economic uncertainty which is delaying the marriages and the children in the young people. Next, coming into the aspect of the general inequality, which remains a major challenge. Like women perform around 5 hours of the unpaid household work daily, where men spend much less than the women, that is like half an hour or so. Okay. So coming to the employment gap between the women and men, only 15 out of 100 young women, only 15 out of 100 young women are in paid employment, when compared to the men, out of 55 out of 100 young men are working. So as a result, many men feel forced to choose between the career and the family. So this highlights the need for shared caregiving responsibilities, both for both men and women. Okay. And one more concern is that in this article, which is discussed, is the climate change, which is influencing the family decisions a lot. Like young people has increasingly worrying about this climate change, the pollution, the water scarcity, economic uncertainty, and the mental health, which is many wonder whether the future will be secure enough to raise the children or not. Okay. Now, coming to the India's demographic diversity perspective, which we see, India's fertility rates are greatly across the states. Like in when we see the states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, the Delhi, these states have below a replacement fertility. When we see the states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, the Jharkhand and all, they have the higher fertility rates. So one size fits all population policies cannot work anymore. Okay. No. When we see this article recommendations for all these policies, what this article says is economic measures has to be taken, like for better employment opportunities, the affordable housing and social security. And coming to the gender equality, if we say, this article basically suggests recommends that the equal sharing of the domestic work, paid parental leave, the flexible work arrangements, and the childcare facilities also be there. And coming to the mental health perspective also, support for the young anxiety and counseling services also have to be there. So use of this demographic data for the state specific planning and recognize the difference among the across Indian regions. Okay, yes, this is about this article. We will see this article in a complete detailed manner. Yes, the topic is why India's young people are saying about what our young Indian peoples are saying about families. The author is Andrea M. Wojner, who is a UNFPA representative in India. Okay, now young voices, real choice, better future. Obviously. So, the context of this article is the United Nations Population Fund, the UNFPA, has released the Demographic Future Survey on the World Population Day, which is held on July 11th, which is surveying over 108,000 of young adults across the 73 countries. So, the findings show that the young Indians are not turning away from family life but are facing the practical, financial, gendered, and environmental obstacles before starting the families. Okay, now how can we link this article to the syllabus is for GS paper 1 we can link this article to the population and associated issues, the social empowerment, the role of women and social issues. That is for GS paper 1. For GS paper 2 we can link this article to the issues relating to the development and management of social sector or services relating to health, human resource and gender. Okay, now let us see this article in a detailed way. Like, we'll see the core concept first. When coming to the demographic trends and the aspirations, if we see the fertility transition, India's total fertility rate has settled 2.0, that is 2 children per woman, below the replacement level of 2.1. Okay, so this reflects the long term investment in female literacy, the national health mission and the expanded maternal health care. Okay, when coming to the decline in child marriages, the proportion of young women married at the age of 18 has dropped from 23.3 percentage to 20.1 percentage, which is very good. Okay, next coming to the family size preferences, the young minds of India is having 4 in 10 women and one third of the men view 2 children as their ideal family size. Okay, now coming to the key barriers to the family formation, what are they facing is first is the economic constraints. Like, the financial worries are the primary obstacles which are cited by nearly 4 in 10 young people, which is followed by housing costs and the job insecurity. Okay, next hurdles are the unpaid care work disparity. Like, the young women in India spend over 5 hours daily on unpaid domestic work and caregiving to their children when compared to 30 minutes for the young men. So, consequently, only 15 out of 100 young women are in paid employment when compared to 55 in 100 men who are working. Okay, next coming to the emergency anxiety factors, if you see, nearly half of the young Indians express deep anxiety over the climate change, economic instability and the environmental risks which are affecting their long term planning. Okay, now these are the few key barriers for the family formation the young people are stating about. Next, coming to the regional disparities across the states, if we see the uneven demographic transition, like in Bihar, the total fertility rate stands at 2.7, whereas in Sikkim it is down to 1. Very a drastic change. So the states like Kerala, Delhi, and Tamil Nadu has fell below the replacement levels years ago, while the states like Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand are still catching up with the fertility rate. Okay, so a uniform national population policy cannot address the varied regional realities. Okay, now coming to the way forward of this policy action and the policy action, if we can see, the first is strengthening the care economy. Like, obviously provide a high quality affordable childcare services and promote the equitable caregiving within households to prevent women from having to choose between careers and family. Okay, next, workplace interventions, like encourage the private sector policies such as the paid parental leave, the flexible working hours, and the family friendly workplaces structure. Okay, next, capitalizing on the youth window. Okay, like how India has 255 million young people who are aged between 15 to 24, which is maximizing this demographic dividend, which requires the urgent investment in the stable youth employment, education, and the mental health support. Okay, now coming to the regional disparities across the states, if we see, as we have seen this, the total fertility rate, which is higher total fertility rates which are in Bihar, which is above the replacement level, and the lower fertility rate states is in Sikkim, which is the well below the replacement level. And already, as I discussed, the states like Kerala, Delhi, and Tamil Nadu fall below the replacement levels years ago, while the states like Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand are still catching up. Okay, now so, a uniform nation population policy cannot address these varied regional realities. Okay. Next, coming to the key terminologies for answer rating, which we can take up from this article, is the replacement level fertility, like the total replacement rate of 2.1 children per woman, and which a population exactly replaces itself from one generation to the next. And next is the unpaid care work disparity, like the disproportionate burden of this uncompensated domestic labor which has borne by women is limiting their workforce participation. And what is this demographic dividend? Demographic dividend is nothing but the potential economic growth opportunity which is arising when a nation's working age population is larger than its dependent population. Okay, now when we look at the data at glance in India, if we see, the total fertility rate is 2.0 children per woman, which is the below replacement level of 2.1. So decline in the child marriages, we can see from 23.3 percentage to it has decreased to 20.1 percentage. So the drop in young women married before the age of 18 has been decreased. Next, ideal family size, basically 4 in 10 women and one third of the men prefer 2 children per family, 2 children per family. And the unpaid care work disparity, where the women work 5 plus hours, which is the unpaid work, when compared to men only 30 minutes of daily work. Coming to the paid employment, 15 in 100 women are working out of 55 in 100 men. Okay, this is the disparity of unpaid work. Next, climate and economic anxiety. If you see, nearly 1 in 2 young Indians are deeply anxious about this climate change, economic instability, and the environmental risks. Okay, and coming to the way forward, if we see the detailed actions, first is the strengthening the care economy by setting up the high quality, affordable child care services like creatures, like daycare centers, and all, and invest in the community based care infrastructures and promote the equitable caregiving within households through awareness and behavioral changes. Okay, next, workplace interventions like encourage the paid parental leave for both the parents, promote the flexible and hybrid work arrangements, build the family friendly workplace ecosystems like creatures facilities, location rooms, and lactation rooms, and the counselings also. And next is capitalizing on the youth window. Like India has almost 255 young people who are aged between 15 to 24, which creates a stable quality jobs and at scale. So the strengthen the skill development alignment with future sector needs, and also invest in the education, the digital access, and the mental health support systems. Okay, now there is a guiding question for practice which we can take up for the exam is, given the sharp constraint in the fertility rates across Indian states, example the Bihar of 2.7 versus the Sikkim at 1.0, how should the federal policies adopt to support these states in early versus late stages of demographic transition? This is the practice question for today. Do write this question, write the introduction about the states, and write the demographic values about in the body, and conclude the answer with few key way forwards and all. Okay, so write this answer and do text us back to our Telegram channel. We will see and correct it, and we will let you know about this answer. Okay, now, and there is a major key takeaway from this article. If we see, the young Indians are not rejecting the families, they want the right constitution to build them. right conditions to build them. So addressing the economic insecurity, the care inequality, and the climate anxiety and the regional disparities through the inclusive policies will help Indian harness its demographic dividend while ensuring gender justice and sustainable development. Okay, yes, this is about this article. Let us see the next article. The next article for today is building an Atmanirbhar philanthropy ecosystem. Okay, so today discussion is on editorial, which is building an Atmanirbhar philanthropy ecosystem, which is given by Ashish Dhawan, who is a founder the Convergence Foundation, and the Amit Chandra, who is a co-founder ATE Chandra Foundation. Okay, so this article basically argues about that India should build a self-reliant in the sense the Atmanirbhar philanthropy ecosystem where the domestic individuals, business, and the families become the prior drivers of social development rather than depending heavily on foreign donations. Okay, so the domestic giving, not foreign funding, will define India's philanthropic future, which we can say it come out from this core theme from this article. Okay, now let us see what is this philanthropy. Philanthropy means nothing but the voluntary donation of money. Okay, voluntary donation of money, not money, not only money, money, time, or resources for the public welfare and the social development. Example, if we take the donations to schools and hospitals, a scholarship for the poor students, the CSR initiative by companies, the disaster relief contributions, and the donations by wealthy individuals and family foundations. Okay, now India's changing philanthropic landscape, if we see, this article basically highlights that India's philanthropic sector has changed significantly over the last decade. So major sources of philanthropy are the family philanthropy and the corporate social responsibility and the individual donations and the digital giving through UPI and online platforms. So today this domestic philanthropy has exceeded the foreign philanthropy inflow, which is indicating the India's growing financial and institutional capability. Okay, now the debate on this FCRA, which we see the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, FCRA. The debate has been going on this FCRA, that is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which regulates the foreign donations which is received by NGOs. Foreign donations which are received by NGOs. So the author view basically is every sovereign nation has the right to regulate the foreign funding. So the countries like the USA, the Australia also regulate the foreign contributions. So the real issue is not whether the foreign funding should be regulated, but whether the regulations are transparent, predictable, efficient, or proportionate. This has to be seen. Okay. Now let us look this article in a complete detailed way. Yes, building an Atmanirbhar philanthropy ecosystem. The author of this article is Ashish Dhawan, who is the founder of chairperson, the Convergence Foundation, and Amit Chandra, the co-founder of ATE Chandra Foundation. Okay, the stronger together, self-reliant philanthropy for a better India. This is what we can tell from this article. And coming to the context of this article, if we see India's philanthropic landscape is undergoing a structural shift. The domestic private giving, which is driven by the family philanthropy, the CSR and the individual donors, now significantly has outstripping the foreign philanthropic inflows. So this shift has necessities transitioning the data on FCRA from mere restrictions towards building a self-reliant, that is Atmanirbhar domestic social capital ecosystem. Okay. Now, how can we link this article to this topics of our GSs? We can link to GS paper 2, which is the development process and the development industry, the role of NGOs, HSGS, various groups and the associations, donors, the charities, institutional and other stakeholders, and the governance and the accountability also. We can link this article to. And for GS paper 3 also, we can link this article to the economy perspective, like Indian economy and the issues relating to the planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and the employment. Okay. Now When we look into the core concept of the key data points which have been issued in this article is in that the first one, the shift from the foreign dependency to the domestic ownership, if we will see. Coming to the domestic versus foreign inflow of this philanthropist, if we see the foreign contributions has been doubled over the past decade from 10,000 crores to 22,000 crores. So, however, the domestic private philanthropy now exceeds from 1.18 lakh crore per year, which is more than the six foreign inflows, six, I mean, five times more than the foreign inflows, according to the Bain Dasra India Philanthropy Report of 2026. So, what is the role of the CSR in this is the corporate social responsibility channels over 40,000 crore annually into social development. Okay. Now, coming to the evaluation of giving in India, if we see in three phases, the phase one has heavy reliance on the foreign philanthropy, and phase two, the transformation which is driven by the mandated CSR, and in phase 3, which is the current thing which we are undergoing, the phase 3, which gives the growth powered by Indian families, the first generation entrepreneurs and the retail citizens. Okay. Now, coming to the regulatory architecture of this regulatory architecture versus the regulation versus the disruption, if we see in that, the first one is the sovereign right to regulate. So every sovereign nation regulates the foreign capital that shapes public life is standard practice globally. So example, if we take the USA Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, and similar laws in Australia and Europe, the scale of voluntary sector, if we see, out of 6 lakh voluntary organizations which has been registered in Niti Aayog NGOs Darpan portal, only 14,500 hold the active FCRA registrations. Okay. Now, coming to the principle of this better, not tighter regulations, the distinguished administration slips from fraud. So, to introduce the deficiency notices, defined correction windows, and the independent appellate body. So, leverage the FCRA 2.0 platform for risk-based supervision rather than the blanket disruption. Okay. Now, unlocking the domestic capital and mass participation, if we see in this perspective, performing the tax incentives like the tax deductions under the section 80G are currently limited. Often 50% of the deduction, which is capped at 10% as adjusted gross income. So rising the deductions towards the 100% and lifting the caps at 25% would boost the long-term social capital with minimum loss to the exchequer. Okay. Now, when we see in the perspective of incentivizing the equity donations, it creates a legal framework which is allowing high net worth individuals to donate the specialized appreciated listed shares to charities with structured disposable windows, that is 1 to 3 years. Next, democratizing the retail giving, like with over 220 million demat accounts and the widespread UPI adoptions, micro donations, that is around 100 to 1000 per month, has combined with the social stock exchange, that it's SSE, can build a broad based social contract. Okay. Now, and there are few key terminologies which we can take for our mains answer rating from this article. And that the first one is social stock exchange. It is nothing but it is a dedicated platform which is enabling the non-profit and for-profit social enterprises to raise the capital from the public through transport discussions and measurable impact metrics. Okay. Now, FCRA 2.0. What is it? It is a modernized risk-based digital supervision framework which is aimed at simplifying the compliance for genuine and genuine civil society, which is organizations, while identifying high risk transactions. Okay. Next, section 80G, which is the income tax act, which it nothing but it is a provision which is permitting the taxpayers to claim the deductions on the contributions made to specified charitable organizations. Okay. Now, and when we see the shift by the numbers, if we see in a glance, the domestic private philanthropy, if we see, In India, 1.18 lakh crore per year, more than the 5 times of foreign inflow has been increased. The source is given from Besan Dasra India Philanthropy Report of 2026. Next is foreign contribution. The last decade, if you see, approximately 10,000 crore to 22,000 crore has been doubled over the decade. Next, CSR inflow annually. Basically, the CSR inflow annually is 40,000 crore plus, which is channeled into the social developments. Okay. Now, when you see the global revolutionary regulatory benchmarks, the USA Foreign Agents Regulation Act, which states it requires the entitles acting on behalf of foreign principals in political or quasi-political activities to register and discuss. Okay. So, coming to Australia, if we see, it mandates the registration for individuals and the organizations undertaking the activities on behalf of foreign principals. Okay. Now, when we see Europe also, countries like UK, Germany and France have laws for transparency of foreign funded organizations. So, the sovereign right to regulate the foreign capital that influences the public life is a universally accepted norm in the democratic societies. Okay. Now, when we see FCRA in India at a glance, approximately 6 lakh volunteer organizations has registered on Niti Aayog NGO Darpan platform. Okay. Next, approximately 14,500 organizations hold the active FCRA registrations, and less than 3% of the total registered organizations receive foreign contributions under FCRA. Okay. Now, what is the principle of a better, not a tighter regulation is the distinguish administrative slips from the fraud. Like, adopt a proportionate approaches. Not all non-compliances imply the malified instant. Okay. Next, deficiency notes and the correction windows. Like, issue a deficiency notice with clearly defined timelines for correction before taking the corrective action. Okay. Now, independent appellate body, which creates an independent appellate mechanism to ensure the fairness and reduce the arbitrance. Okay. Next, leverage the FCRA 2.0 platform. Use this FCRA 2.0 digital platform to risk-based supervision, which is targeted security and the real-time compliance monitoring. So the goal is credibility with ease of compliance for genuine actors and swift of action against those will malicious instant. Okay. Next, unlocking the domestic capital. The pathways for it is, first is the reforming the tax incentives. Like, current section 80G of the income tax offers the limited relief, that is often 50% of the deduction, which is capped at 10% of the adjusted gross income. Okay. And raise the deduction towards 100% and lift the cap up to 25%, which encourages the large long term giving with minimal impact on the exchequer. Okay. Next, Next is incentivizing the equity donations, like enabling the donation of appreciated list with shares to charitable organizations and provide a structural disposable window, which is 1 to 3 years, to liquidate and deploy the funds for social impact. Okay. Now, coming to the democratizing the retail giving, over approximately 220 million DMAT accounts and widespread UPI donations create a powerful enabler. So, it promotes the micro donations, which is approximately 100 to 1000 per month, and integrate with social stock exchange rate to build a broad based social contract. Okay. Now, when we see the building and Atmanirbhar philanthropy ecosystem in India, the strong domestic capital, smart and fair regulation, effective institutions which gives the measurable impact, and inclusive a sustainable development. So, an Atmanirbhar philanthropy ecosystem will empower the civil society, complement state efforts, and strengthen the India's social fabric. Okay. Next, the guiding question for the practice: how can this India strike a balance between this is another question for this article. If we see, how can India strike a balance between the regulatory oversight under FCRA and ensuring the operational autonomy of non-governmental organizations, that is NGOs, to build a robust domestic philanthropic ecosystem? Okay, by using this data, write down an answer and send us to the Telegram ID, which has been mentioned in the comment session and in the description below, obviously. And do text us in the Telegram with the answer. Okay. And yes, these are the articles for today, and I have given you all, posed you all two questions regarding the two articles. Do write these answers. Write these answers and send us in the Telegram. The link is provided in the Telegram ID is provided in the description below. And I hope everyone liked this video. To have a detailed PDF of it, do visit our website and download it from there. And also available in the Instagram and Telegram channels also. So all the links are provided in the description below. And yes, I'll see you all soon in the tomorrow's editorial session. Thank you.